don't know what you were doing just now. I'm sorry. I was gonna pause. I was pausing because I was like, let's give it a few seconds, and then you do that face, and I'm just.
I was trying to break you when I just broke myself instead. It backfired immediately.
Oh my god, you're an idiot. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bodacious Rant with Burton as always. You know, we just finished Peacemaker, and Book of Boba Fett also finished. So now we're kind of in the in between of like entertainment. You know, there's some stuff coming on streaming like. Nightmare Alley, and then Kingsman is on HBO now. The Kingsman, like that.
Oh, okay.
I saw it on HBO Max. I don't know if it's actually on, so I gotta check that out. But
I saw that it was on Hulu, but yeah.
But before we continue on our discussion, guys, just as a reminder, why don't you guys give us, subscribe if you want to keep checking in on our videos, seeing what we're talking about in the upcoming weeks, our reviews, and then give us a like, share us around a little bit. We very much appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Share the load. That's what, Sam Wise would say.
I was watching that last week too. My God. That's such a weird... It's funny because I was watching it, I'm like, that goes both ways. Like, share the load like you're carrying a burden, but also like, I want the load of the gold, kind of. So it's just... It's beautiful, dichotomy there. Like a great homonym like saying. Anyways, let's get on to the topic, shall we? So, we've been talking about this all year, like the last couple years, actually. And, it's finally happening next week. Matt Reeves' The Batman is finally coming out. And with it being, with no shows or movies really on our radar this week, we figured, why not talk about some Batman stuff, break down our favorite, moments, movies, maybe even favorite Batman over the last, 40 years of our lives, essentially.
Yeah.
Basically every piece of entertainment we've had. Yeah, let's get started, shall we?
Yeah, man. I'm ready to begin. I'd like to talk to some Batmans, and then hopefully we can let people know where we're coming from once a review comes out for The Batman.
Oh my god, I can't wait. But, I mean, I guess we could start at the very beginning. There was the comics and stuff. There was like an old black and white movie. Never seen them. Never read the super old stuff, so I'm not going to talk about that too much. But, there's the Adam West movie, which I remember kind of seeing as a kid, or... maybe seeing some of the show. I don't remember, in all honesty, but it was good old fun back then, just very, very different than the Batman we know. Specifically the ones we're wearing right now. Like,
yeah, very different.
Night and day. Like, not even... you would think they're two different characters. Like, completely.
Which is kind of cool, I guess, because I haven't seen it either personally, but everyone I've talked to who did used to watch the old '66 Batman show, they all love it. They all apparently thought it was great for the time.
I mean, I got referenced in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was pretty cool. Just, who's gonna take you out? Batman, ping, pop, zoo. And I remember that's exactly what happened. Like whenever they hit somebody, it was just pow, or like all this comic book stuff. So, it was actually pretty forward for its time to reference like the comics like that, But then, our childhood, we grew up with the Michael Keaton Batman. Did you ever actually watch Super Friends when it was around? The TV, do you remember that cartoon?
Yeah, I did actually.
Yeah, I used to watch that one a little bit, and then Scooby-Doo, like the Scooby movies, whenever they had like celebrity cameos, they had Batman and Robin on a couple episodes, so that was always fun. And I mean, I didn't really watch the Batman movies till after the Batman show, in all honesty.
The animated series, right?
Yeah, the one with Kevin Conroy, the definitive Batman. Yeah, for everybody. I mean, I'm sure younger kids nowadays are probably watching like the newer Batman show, that one that was weirdly weird CGI look and all that stuff. I guess it was pretty good, but it's not quite the same. Our stuff will always be better because we're older. Back then,
But I mean, those guys have been playing those roles in the Arkham games, especially.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Kevin Conroy is Batman, and Mark Hamill is the Joker, of like the two defining voices for Batman and Joker in the animated versions, for sure.
Dude, yeah, especially in Mask of the Phantasm, like that is easily one of my favorite Batman movies ever. Just because it's such a timeless classic. Like that one came out in theaters, people didn't think it was gonna get serious, and it's like, no, this is considered one of the best like animated movies, especially Batman movies of all time. So yeah, that's a bold statement. And Michael Keaton's, but we'll stick mostly with the live action stuff. So
for sure,
the Michael Keaton, man, that's what started essentially the whole dark Batman status of the 80s and like the 90s and stuff like that, which I thought was really cool. Because given we had Frank Miller's run of The Dark Knight Returns in the 80s, but this movie really gave birth to like the animated series and that Batman that Kevin Conroy played, as we know. And they freaked me out as a kid, especially Jack Nicholson's, even Penguin. Jack Nicholson's Joker and Danny DeVito's Penguin were quite horrifying. Like if you as a kid, especially, because I don't know, man. Because Jack Nicholson's already scary as it is, but then when he has a smile just stretched all the way across, and then Penguin with his like really blacked out eyes and like just nasty teeth, I was like, damn.
Yeah, and like the black like gunk.
That's
like,
what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it was.
Ugh.
They were the makeup and stuff on that. That was another movie ahead of its time. Like Tim Burton really took Batman and made it such a gothic character. It's like, wow, great job, because that's the standard for a lot of people. Like there are plenty of people that don't care for any of the new Batman. They're like, no, Michael Keaton's my Batman no matter what. And I'm fine with that, because they were some of the best movies too. Like, perfect, like, great beginning and then better sequel. So.
I mean, I know they before this we had the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, but I think Michael Keaton's Batman movies were sort of like the beginning of the superhero blockbuster,
Yeah.
Not the modern day blockbuster, which gets attributed to like Spider-Man and X-Men, but really bringing these comic book characters to the forefront, like in a massive deal. Like I know like the ad campaign and all that stuff for the '89 Batman movie was like one of the things that was like ahead of its time, just the hype that they built around that movie, and just the movie itself. I mean, like I'm sure it was a huge success, and Michael Keaton as Batman and having Jack Nicholson as the Joker is like, what a way to sort of like legitimize it, from the very beginning. How you have like these two like really big actors of the time. Michael Keaton wasn't accepted in the very beginning. I know when he was announced,
I feel like majority of the Batman we've had are not accepted.
That's a trend that we've seen, to this day. Like, anyone who gets cast as Batman, a lot of people are gonna have an issue with.
They pull a Charlie and just no.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the dude made it his own, and I think he, out of the ones that we're gonna talk about, I think he has that little bit of like a psychotic edge to him, like when he has that moment, especially in the first Batman movie, where he's like, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. It's like this dude's a little bit unhinged.
Scene. Yeah, Michael Keaton's such a, because he's a comedian, so seeing that I was like, damn, this. Well, they definitely leaned into the psychosis part a little bit of Batman.
Yeah, like the recluse.
Yeah, a lot of people I don't think understand necessarily what Batman is. He gets compared to Iron Man a lot, and it's like, no, not like. Okay, yes, rich superhero who has no powers, sure. But if you break them down mentally and physically, Batman is going to own up Iron Man 10 times out of 10, just because, I mean, the Batman I envision, that's my personal version, is like, he's the Batman that never wants to give up the cowl. He is bored, like, he is considered psychotic, even by his best friends. Like, he's obsessive and can't let go. And this one played into more of, like, he's really obsessed with bats, like especially how he like hangs upside down to go to sleep and all that stuff. Like it was really interesting how they did that, but I love that part with him and like threatening Joker, and Joker's just, you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? And he's like, what? Oh, it's just something I say to it. It just sounds nice. Like they're both a couple of freaks, man.
Yeah,
just like Blades of Glory.
They're just like, they're a side of, one side of a coin. It's like they really just juxtapose each other really well. And yeah, their performances are great. And even in the Batman Returns, when we get him going up against Danny DeVito's Penguin, but more so Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, that's an awesome dynamic to see. Like their play between the two. She's fantastic.
I had a huge crush on Michelle Pfeiffer growing up. I don't know who wouldn't at that time.
Yeah,
yeah. Again, that's the beauty of Tim Burton. He really. It's almost like a study of these characters. Like, what if they were really more into this? Like, Penguin was... Given Penguin's always been kind of like... Looked like a penguin in, like, the comics, the games, the movies. But this one really took the idea where he actually had borderline flippers for fingers and only ate fish. Whereas, like, the modern take, like in the Arkham games and stuff, he's more of like a gangster and arms dealer, who just... has a weird body, so he's like a bird kind of. But that was really interesting, and it just again so well done. The Batmobile is definitely one of the most iconic things. That's one of the most iconic cars too. Like from every movie, for the most part, there's always one. Like the Batmobile is easily like one of the best looking cars of all time in every movie for the most part.
Yeah, no matter what design they go for, it fits with that particular, Batman and that style that whichever director, is bringing to it. I know there's a lot of crossover between, the Burton movies and the Schumacher movies, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So those are kind of like of the same vein. But, when with Nolan and Snyder, them bringing their own sensibilities, their Batmobiles, like you said, fit so well in their universes. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and then the bat suits too, especially for 1 and 2, like Keaton's 1 and 2. Very non-functional looking with the head, because the cowl is literally a cowl and it's a rubber cowl, so he has to turn his shoulders left and right.
Yeah.
But again, the facial design, the ears. I really like the second one better because this one was more armored looking, so I like that look a lot better. The first one's still great, but it's just a little too. I think the Schumacher kind of ruined the whole muscle suit look for me, in all honesty. But yeah, shall we move? Do you want to talk about the Schumacher stuff, or was there anything else you want to talk about the Burtons?
Yeah, no. Last thing I'll say is the second suit in Batman Returns definitely improved upon the Batman '89 suit. So yeah, and then those movies are all great, and yeah, it's cool that we got a Tim Burton version of Batman.
I feel like he's one of those dudes that can definitely bring out like really great stuff with these random stories and stuff. So that was great. And then the infamous Schumacher movies came out.
The Citizen Kane of comic book films. Truly the creme de la creme.
God. Because Burton was supposed to continue it, but I forgot what happened. So Schumacher stepped in. And
basically, it was creative, disagreements. I think there was a lot of backlash with the Batman Returns and how dark that was and how scary that was for people at the time.
It was horrifying,
I know.
though, but it was fantastic.
I mean, we all loved it now, but I assume people at the time were kind of like, this is a bit much. So I think they wanted to commercialize it a little bit more, and I think you definitely see that with these next two movies.
Yeah, the last horrifying thing from Batman Returns is when you're going through, because Christopher Walken got electrocuted, and you just see his face just, almost peel back and just crisp. I was like, oh, God, that sight always scared me as a kid, too, just his horrified face burnt to shit. Gives me heebie-jeebies thinking about. But, yeah, Batman Forever is always going to be one of my personal favorites, not because it's good by any means, but it's not as horrible as people make it out to be, just because...
True.
Schumacher, I think, was openly gay for the most part, so he was the first one to put, nipples on the bat suit. He literally made it, like a human body kind of situation. How do I describe it? Almost like a Greek thing, you know what I mean? Very Olympian-like,
yes.
Where, if the suit was not a suit, it was just him, it'd be him wearing the cowl, the cape, stuff like that, so... I get it, and honestly... As much as it kind of ruined the whole bodysuit thing, I don't mind it for this movie. I never even thought about it until people pointed out in college, and I was like, oh no, I mean, does it matter, really? It's Batman. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things, as a kid, you don't really pay that too much mind, even I really remembered as a kid loving the Batman Forever suit, more so than I did the Keaton ones, actually, at that time, at least. Now I've grown, now I guess, the years have made me more cynical and be like, maybe, I don't like it. But I still think it's a pretty cool suit.
I think Val Kilmer did a great job as Batman too, because again, his Batman, his was definitely along the lines of I don't want to be Batman anymore. I want to fall in love, make a family. And it's that was the beginning of that whole idea that the movie Batman maybe wants to get out of being Batman at a certain point. It's no.
Yeah.
He would never stop being Batman. No matter what, he would find a way
obsession.
to keep it. It is an obsession. It's a sickness for him. And, he is Batman, not Bruce Wayne at that certain point in his life. So, that's just something that he would never coax out. It doesn't matter. We're getting too much into it. But Val Kilmer, I liked as Batman growing up. I thought he was a great Batman. Had a good voice. Didn't need a voice modulator or cancer to sound the way he did.
Well, not at that time.
No, maybe that's not the best joke, but That's not what I meant. It's just
No, of course not.
okay, good. As long as you, audience, again, I know Val Kilmer has cancer now. God love him, but that's not what I mean. Like where you hear Chris Bale and Chris Bale
yeah.
really set the tone for the cancer voice. Just, hey, where is she? I'm counting on it.
Whereas Michael Keaton was, I'm Batman.
And then Val Kilmer also just, I'm Batman. It's like, okay, I get that. Given you'd probably be able to hear that. It's a whole thing, because I know people are like, well, wouldn't people recognize him? Like, if you think about it, maybe not, because everyone's going to see that cowl and that suit, and you wouldn't even know who's under it. You know what I mean? Like, at a certain point, a white dude under a suit could literally be almost anybody. So,
yeah.
That's my
and apparently, the thing that people complain about most in like movies, like the movie disguise, baseball cap and glasses, does actually work in real life.
It does masks. I mean, I can't recognize people when they have masks on. They're like, don't you remember me? I'm like, oh my God, you're right. Now I see you.
Yeah, so, dude in a bat suit is a little bit more extreme than those.
It's conspicuous, yes. So I low-key, like, I'm actually watching Batman Forever right now, so, I just felt like, you know what? Batman's coming out. I'm just going to start watching my Batman movies all over again. And it's still one of my favorites as a kid and as an adult, just because it's fun. It's got Chris O'Donnell in it, Val Kilmer. They were my favorite actors growing up, mostly because they were Batman and Robin. And Nicole Kidman, yes. And I low-key love Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face, just because he really plays on the whole bipolar, psychotic nature that Two-Face is. One side is Harvey Dent, the other side is Two-Face, and I love it. I just like Tommy Lee Jones as well. And Jim Carrey's Riddler was interesting. I just love Jim Carrey, so maybe that's me being biased, but it works for me. Everything about it, the costume design, the pageantry, the costumes. Wow, what a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can really like boil down this movie to those two guys, Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey, and just how insane they go with their roles. They kind of, like I said, it embodies the whole tone of the movie, where this movie is just going 100%
just out there
the whole time. It's like, it's unapologetic, and you gotta kind of admire it, for doing that. And that's why it's like, hey, Schumacher, like with this one, at least it seemed like he did have a little bit more creative control than he did in the upcoming movie. But yeah, like that move. This movie is like a rock opera, That's just like, it's like a gothic neon like fever dream almost, and it's kind of insane how like deep they like go into that. And those two guys go absolutely insane, and while they may not be like quote unquote good, they're very entertaining throughout the whole movie.
It's a very subjective movie. Like, depending who you talk to me, I'll talk about it all night. You talk to somebody else, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
yes, exactly.
I'm just saying.
Which is, hey, to its
range.
Credit, yeah, to its credit, you gotta come in on one side of this movie. You can't be like meh about it. You gotta be like, dude, that shit was crazy, or dude, that was awful.
Yeah, like, I'm kind of both, but when I love it, I love it. When I hate it, I don't. I hold no punches when I talk shit about it.
It's a guilty pleasure for sure, and not, it's like a not so guilty. It's like, hey.
It's definitely just a pleasurable film for me, guilty and not guilty. So, and that again, the Batmobile is such an interesting version of it too.
Oh, dude, it riding up the wall. I love that as a kid.
It's just dope as shit. Come on, you can't say. And then you got the bat boat, or bat, speedboat, whatever you want to call it, and the Batwing, which those look sick too. Especially in Michael Keaton's, his Batwing was just very small,
looks very much like a Batarang.
Yeah, Batarang, but also almost like a tactical jet kind of thing. So I really like both of those. But oh man, great moments in Schumacher's, and then Batman and Robin. That is definitely. I don't know anyone who truly likes that movie. I loved it as a kid. An adult fucking hate it. It was.
I don't think I even liked it as a kid.
I love the cat. Well, I like just because I thought his Batmobile and I love Robin's motorcycle. Those helped make it for me. And looking back, it's like, man, they really kind of they really changed up the look. Because I love the Batman Forever one where he gets his sonar suit in the end. That was definitely like the all black Batman suit I was looking forward to. And Robin's suit, I think they did a good, again, with the nipple thing, but whatever. But I like that modernized look of it too for Robin, where it's still got the collar cape. He's got the like his circus tight look. So I thought that was great to do it. But then the next one with George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell again, they changed up so he had the Nightwing suit, but almost like the New 52. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where they got the idea red. From. The red and black.
Actually, you're right.
And Robin had a cool simple mask. I think that was one of the best things one of the best masks like of movies growing up. And
true, I did dig that too. And
then I love Clooney and I love Schwarzenegger and Uma Thurman.
Yeah,
just not in that. I love you, but not when you're that.
Not there. This was not your best. No, sorry.
And that's another movie I got like a huge crush on Uma Thurman too. Just I don't know, she was so alluring and sexy and stuff, but. This is the biggest critique. She changes her look 50 times in the movie. I'm like, yeah, that was a little too much. Just keep one look, man. Schumacher went a little too much with that one. But I like Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze's look. But I think there's the whole story about how they needed him to make this movie. And it's like, do we really? Like, no, we could have gone with anybody else, but whatever, it is what it is. He does have his accent, which works for Mr. Freeze oddingly, but man, that was just such a dumpster fire of a movie.
Just all the puns. I just can't do all the ice puns.
Too many, no. Oh man, and then Bane, man, they really messed up Bane in that movie too. That was just bad.
Bane was very off-putting for me. Yeah, it was kind of creepy looking.
Yeah, again, it went, how do I put this? It was just weird. And then Alicia Silverstone's Batgirl wasn't bad.
I liked her, actually. It didn't feel like...
Something about it, I was just like, I like her, but again, it didn't work. Something about it just didn't work for me. Maybe, I don't know. I really can't put my finger on it, but it was just, again...
Like, maybe it just wasn't utilized well enough,
Yeah, I think that's what it could have been.
Like, the potential was there for her. Like, because I really liked her, like, around that time.
Yeah,
in the other things that she was in, but yeah, it felt like here she was just kind of almost like an afterthought, even though they do give her story a little bit of amount of screen time,
Yeah. Also, in Schumacher's movies, I don't care for all the butt shots he does too.
Shot, crotch shots, nipple shots.
Every shot is just like it's a little too much on the body.
Very sexual, very tight.
Especially in for Batman Forever, where he puts the sonar suit on and just. The last thing, just butt shot. It's like, oh God, why do we need to see this, dude? Why is this a thing? Again, Schumacher admires the human body. I get it, but maybe a little too much for that. Let's speed it up. And so I like Schumacher's effort for it. I just, again, at least Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. I was like, no, this is what that was the movie that killed Batman for years to come. Like, nobody even tried to touch a live action movie. Which leads us into our next era of Batman, which was the one that's not necessarily debated, but everybody fucking is obsessed with it. Like, dude, there's better Batman out there. Whatever. It's Chris Nolan's era, and. As much as I disagree with all those people, they were still some great trilogy movies. Like Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, still great ones. I remember one of my best things growing up was my mom took me, like school just got out. She's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, let's go see Batman. She's like, all right, let's go. So that started off my summer vacation. That was a great way to do it.
It's a good way to start, yeah.
It was. And then every time I went to go see my uncle in Monrovia, I would always go up to his room. He's like, Batman? I'm like, yeah, let's go put it on. And then that would just be my movie and waiting for dinner, just chilling. Chris Bale he's a great actor, a great Batman, but not a great Bruce Wayne. And also the cancer voice, man, that was just a little too much. But at the same time, they tried it. It worked. It worked for him, so it's fine. You know? Alfred, that's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me. Like, oh man, a very expressive mouth. I'll give him that.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, Hot Toys even did the whole like, they sculpted that face horribly. It just looks god awful on a 6 scale, but in the movie it worked. I think the Batman, like I said, Batman Begins was great because we got to see a much more modernized version of Batman. Like,
Yeah, very grounded too.
very grounded, like still dark, but not gothic dark. Just modern looking. Where his suit is more tactical, very technology you could kind of buy into. Like, especially his cape that can, when you put a current through it, it just aligns. It's like, okay, I could see that potentially being a thing. And the tumbler, dude, that was. I remember at first I thought, okay, this is a weird looking Batman. Over the years, I've grown to love that fucking thing. That's such a great.
Awesome.
Just, you know, when he, especially when he's like, what's that? And Morgan Freeman's Fox is like, the tumbler? Oh, you wouldn't be interested in that. Like, yeah, you're gonna fucking love it. And just
does it come in black?
that was such a great line. Just so, what do you think? Does it come in black? Like, I want this car, and I'll take my car. I brought mine. Yours? And just when it pops out, I was like, oh shit, this thing's crazy.
Yeah, and how it's like that whole chase sequence where he's trying to, you know, save Rachel before she succumbs to the gas, where he's like flying over rooftops and, like, you know, driving on the freeway and stuff, and that whole chase sequence with the tumbler was awesome.
Yeah, especially when his car went dark, like shut off all the lights, got out of the spotlight. They're like, okay, where is he? Fuck. That was so cool. And then we got to see Ra's al Ghul. That was another.
Ra's al Ghul.
And like that too, that was another thing nobody pointed out. I think I don't know if it was you or somebody else, but they're like, you realize it's Raish, right? And I'm like, no. But then when I'm playing Arkham City, when we actually do, he's like Raish, and it's like, oh my god, the movie fucked it up. He made him sound like a grandma. Huh, Mr. Ra's al Ghul, you're not Ra's al Ghul. I watched him die. But Liam Neeson, even though that's the one critique I have with Nolan's movies, he whitewashed Raish. He did. Talia. Well, Talia not so much, but not a little bit.
Yeah, Talia.
Yeah, because she's French, but not, you know. Yeah.
Middle Eastern.
Yeah, and then Bane. Those are the three characters I was like, man. I mean, I'm sure Chris Nolan doesn't mean to do it. Didn't think about it.
I don't think
just
it was
going
an
after
intentional
talent.
thing.
But it's like, that's something he could have been a little more diverse of. And I know there's a lot of those fans that complain, there's so much diversity. I don't want them to reflect my politics and shit. It's like, how about have some representation with movies too? Like,
yeah, it's like these characters were written that way.
People with backgrounds, yeah, they're written that way, but it's also good to give like other actors and people of representation. Like, hey, I could I could be that too if somebody else did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with like a Encanto, you know, really having more like Afro Latin characters, and like there's this one clip on YouTube where it's the little kid's playing. I was like, that's like me, because he has like a fro and he's a little kid too, and it's like, damn it, that's adorable. I want my kid to feel that too. But yeah, like I said, I still loved it, and then it gave us the best, you know, depending who you ask, the best Joker performance of all time with Heath Ledger in Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Which it sucks that it killed him, but dude, like it sucks he had to give it up he had to kind of give up his life for like the best role he ever did, and the one that really held a standard for a lot of characters outside of comics too. Like, not a lot of people can imitate that level of insanity, no matter what character they're doing. So
yeah, that's a common misconception, though. You know, it wasn't the role that resulted in his death. It was, you know, a combination of different medications that he was on. So it had nothing to do with like him being in character for the role, because there's a really good interview with Michael Jai White where, you know, he plays Gamble, I believe, in the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And he's talking about how Heath Ledger was on set, and, you know, there's been a lot of talk around, you know, that movie in particular and Heath Ledger's performance because of like how great it was, and the fact that he died. You know, the people were kind of like built the narrative around it themselves. But the truth of the matter was, according to Michael Jai White and everybody who worked with him, Heath Ledger was like not what you think he was on set. Like, he wasn't like method to the point where like he was always in character. Like, for Bale accounts, he was like a really fun guy to be around, you know. So it wasn't like the role was like something that really took it out of him. It was just an unfortunate circumstance of, you know, like you know, prescription medicine and not really reacting the way it should. And yeah, it is very unfortunate. But, you know, he did win the Oscar for it posthumously, so I guess that's, you know, a nice feather in his cap and stuff. And I mean, we all get to see, you know, his fantastic performance until the end of time, with the movie being out and, being available everywhere. So just to have that sort of legacy is kind of awesome.
Yeah, and in all honesty, I feel like that's one of the reasons why people hold the Nolan universe in such high esteem. Because I'm also like, his Batman's not truly anything special if you really break it down. Like, it wasn't so much groundbreaking work because I'm like, I already knew Batman was people. If you're a true Batman fan, you're like, okay, he's a ninja and stuff, maybe very tech savvy. The only thing I didn't like about this movies was that he wasn't necessarily like the greatest detective in the world, kind of that he is in the comics and like the other movies and stuff.
It definitely wasn't a focus. Yeah.
No, definitely not a main thing of him. It doesn't break it, but it's like, it's just like it's not that impressive, kind of. You know what I mean? Compared to like other Batman, especially the one we're gonna talk about after this. But
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it is pretty cool because, like, out of all the different Batman we've been talking so far, the directors have really had the opportunity to sort of make them their own, and this is very much Nolan's interpretation of Batman. Even despite my own personal issues with it, as I'm sure like you have yours with the way you like we kind of don't like how. Like you said, he doesn't want to be Batman, and sort of the way he portrays himself, and maybe relies a little bit too much on tech. But this is Nolan's version where he is like grounded almost to a fault. Where he does kind of have to rely on that, because if you're making it as realistic as he did, you have to justify a lot of the things that he does in these movies. So tech is a pretty good crutch to lean on for that sort of thing. But I think what really legitimized these movies was sort of just like the scale of filmmaking that went into these. Nolan has been sort of at the forefront of filmmaking in the modern era of blockbuster filmmaking, and just the way he utilized IMAX cameras, especially with a lot of these sequences that we got to see. With the opening bank robbery, and then the opening plane hijack sequence in The Dark Knight Rises. He's really pushed the blockbuster movie into what we see nowadays, where it's like almost every movie we watch has like scenes shot for IMAX, because he really brought that like artistic scale to these comic book movies, and that's why I'll always love him. As much as I'd have my own little gripes with the character and the way they portrayed him. Just seeing these movies in the theater was just like a treat every single time, and that I'm so glad that we got them.
Yeah, no, like I said, I could bash Nolan's movies again a lot, but I still love them. I'm not going to say I don't like them.
Nitpicks, really.
No, the third one I definitely bashed.
The third one. There's a lot of bad moments.
Oh, man, there's so many bad moments. Just cringeworthy moments that, again, my argument to that is, like, I think he was done with Batman. He just wanted to get this over with to move on to other projects.
Feels like it.
And I get it, because he was doing it for, like, 7 years. Like, from 2005 to 2012 was the last one that came out. So it's like, I get it. Mm-hmm. But there were just some things you could have fixed. Like, when you see effects openly, like a squid blowing off this cop's vest because he gets shot by a 50 cal. Guns definitely not moving at all, just sound effects.
Like stuntmen like flying before the punches land.
I tried seeing that again. I couldn't quite tell, but I'm sure if I put it on my big screen, I'll find it no problem. But that was so bad too.
Yeah, and then there's this like one moment where you can tell when the sewer blows up. One of the cops has like the flame gel like on him to protect him.
Oh shit!
So a lot of little technical things like that, where it's like, how is this
and
overlooked?
Bad just dialogue too. There's so many bad like words that people said, like not cursing, but just bad. Like, you're dumb. Nobody accused me of being dumb. You're dumb. Like,
you're dumb.
Okay, what the fuck is this? Like, that's just garbage.
But then you have Bane with some banger lines. The dude just...
He did. I just don't like what they did with the voice, because I saw the IMAX preview in Mission Impossible 4 when Ghost Protocol came out. That was the reason I drove to Culver City for that IMAX. And I'm like, I want to see it. Though that was the only location around here that would have it. So I drove there twice to go see it. Not only because it was a great movie, but I just wanted to see that IMAX preview. And Bane's voice was so calculating and so monotone. I think the critic was like, people couldn't understand him, which I could totally do it. Because instead of, no one cared about me before I put the mask on. It's like, no, his voice is like, no one cared who I was till I put on the mask. Like, oh shit, this Bane's scary. And he's like, will I pull it off that you die? It'll be extremely painful. and it works so much better for me. You do hear a glimpse of that voice when he kills what's that Australian guy's name? Daggett's name. He was in. I don't remember that guy's name, but when he kills Daggett, when he's like, "Do you feel in charge?" He's like, "I gave you a fortune. And this gives you power over me." That was the original voice they kept. So
yeah,
I wish they kept that throughout more.
That's right. That was his name.
Yeah, they should have kept that one. So that's my biggest thing with that. And then just this is purely a nitpick argument. Just they didn't give him a new suit for this one. Like they kept the Dark Knight one, and I was like, yeah, it's a good looking suit, depending what you think, but Chris Bale, this is a very much of a take on Dark Knight Returns, and I forgot the one where Bane.
No Man's Land.
Is that what that one is? Where he breaks his back?
I think that is the one. If I'm wrong, correct.
Oh, Nightfall. Nightfall is what it was.
Yes, but I think No Man's Land is also part of the story. Gotham being isolated from the outside world and stuff. So there are a lot of elements from different comics being put in.
Yeah, but it was mostly based on like the Dark Knight Returns, where he's an older Batman and stuff like that. So I think they could have, and he's basically crippled a little bit because he has. He's just done from fighting and everything, and even the beat down from Bane showed how out of shape he was. That was the highlight of that movie for me. Just
that was a smackdown, and Tom Hardy was awesome.
Yeah, and just pieces cost you your strength. Victory has defeated you, and just oh my god, taking his hits, knocking him back. It was like, oh shit, Bane is serious.
Yeah, I have a lot of complaints about the fight scenes, in the Nolan movies. He never really nailed down the choreography of the fights, but that fight was really well done, I think. And that one really sticks out because I think it's the best one.
Yeah, that was the problem with Nolan, is that his Batman never had his own unique fighting style. It was very basic, but again, this is his take on it, a very modern Batman, so I get why.
Yeah.
They didn't do it. It's disappointing, but it still works. I'm not thinking about it when I watch the Nolan movies.
Yeah, and also, too, it's not like the other guys before him had fantastic choreography or anything either,
No, Michael
I think those suits were very limiting.
Yeah, so it's... Hopefully we get more in The Flash with Keaton, but... hopefully he'll be able to do more, but... And then also Anne Hathaway's Catwoman definitely rivaled, if not better, than Michelle Pfeiffer's, given her direction with it. And I know she was another character that Anne Hathaway was like madly in love with. She's like, man, it's hard to let go of that character, and whoever plays her next, like, I'll be bummed, but I'm happy that you got to experience that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. Overall, like I said, they were fun movies. They worked for the time, but then we finally got my favorite Batman. I think it's yours too, Burton, so,
Yeah, Batman. I do like this Batman a lot.
And then we got Snyderverse, which was the first time we got a Batman in about another 4 years, which came out in 2016 with Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. And that was played by Ben Affleck. And I remember thinking, let's see how I like Ben Affleck. I loved him in The Town. He's one of my favorite movies with him.
Yeah.
He's a great director, especially because he won an Academy Award for Argo a few years before. So him and Batman, I was like, man, this is going to be a winner. And in my opinion, this still is. That's, again, not a popular opinion, but he's got the look. He's built like Bruce. He's got the face, the hair. And damn, the bat suit, dude. That is the Dark Knight Returns Batman come to life. And it is horrifying.
Yeah.
Especially the first scene with him where the cops come in to bust up like a trafficking site. And you just see him just hanging in the corner like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, like a horror movie.
Yeah, very much like a horror movie. And this one, him and Alfred are bitter towards each other. Like, they love each other, but it's just like a very just fed up relationship where he's kind of tired of Alfred telling him to stop, and Alfred's tired of like him doing all this shit for nothing kind of thing. Like, stop wasting your life, or stop being so angry.
And seemingly being more brutal in the last few years.
Yeah, where he's like to a point of branding criminals just to let them know, like, don't fuck with me anymore. So it was a very different take. That movie did not do well. Snyder unfortunately got a bad rap for these movies. Yeah. And it sucks, but again, he gave us Zack Snyder's Justice League, so it's fine. Yeah, it's his version of Justice League.
It is one of those things. I mean, we did get the ultimate cut, and that, I think, really fleshed out the characters a lot better in Batman vs. Superman. But I never had an issue with with the interpretation of Bruce and Batman in Batman versus Superman, even
Nope.
in the theatrical cut. And I know, like you said, it is a very controversial opinion. But it was very interesting to see, like, a Batman who was years, 20 years into his crime fighting, and just being totally disillusioned by it, after all that time and not seemingly accomplishing much, having all that wear on you. And of course, the untold backstory of what's to happen recently with, his Robin dying. And then also getting introduced to the Superman, it's almost like a reality shock, So seeing him as an antagonist in this movie, I'm sure, like you said, a lot of people had, they took issue with it, and I would have too if that weren't the point, that if we weren't getting this Batman who is at the end of his rope, and is making these bad decisions. If the movie weren't commenting on that. And I think people overlook that fact. But the movie is commenting on the fact that this Batman is, doing things that he shouldn't be doing. And, we get characters, like Alfred telling him throughout the movie, like what are you doing? Like, you're going to go to war? Like, what, like, are you making up new rules? Now you're branding people? Like, dude, you're really going off the deep end here. So the fact that we're getting people, telling him these things, it's like, okay, like, if they weren't acknowledging that fact, and we just got the Batman that we got, where he's like murdering people and like he's unleashing this really vicious form of violence, then I would have taken issue with it, like a lot of other people did. But because that was the point, and that was the critique of him in this movie, and that was something that he had to overcome, I was okay with it because it's a character flaw in the movie, and it's something that he has to change by the end of it.
Yeah, because, looking at all the movies we've talked about, the Nolan verse, Schumacher, Burton, Batman's always killed people left and right. It really is just depending how. And that's why I think Snyder really was like, okay, they've done it. I want to take it up a little bit more and show why this isn't Batman. Like, this is wrong for him to do. And his whole, like, you talk about where Alfred's like, you're going to go to war? And he's like, his whole unhinged argument of, like, that son of a bitch brought the war to us. Like, what if there's a 1% chance he's the enemy? We got to take it as an absolute certainty. Like, and I have to destroy him. And Alfred's like, he is not our enemy. Like, he hasn't done anything to you or anyone since.
He saved the world.
Yeah, but again, and I agree, and that's, as much as I hate it, I do agree with his paranoia. Like, that, what does that mean? Like, 20 years in Gotham, we've seen what promises are worth. Like, it's such a chilling line, because it just made me, when I heard that, think of, potentially, oh my God, the Robin that turned into the Red Hood, Jason Todd, Harvey Dent being Two-Face, not even like Catwoman, all these villains that were good people at a certain point, or decent people. That's literally what he was commenting on. His whole history is like how many people stayed that way. Like, I'm not gonna let that happen again. Like, he's just tired of stuff he can't control. So, like you said, it was a reality check. Like, you can't control everything. You just kind of have to let it go.
And in his deep despair, in his darkest moment, he thinks that the only way to actually make a real difference is to kill Superman. And it's like, no, dude, that's not what you should be doing at this point. But again, like, it's a character flaw that he has to overcome, and he does by the end of the movie. He's a very different person by the end of it.
Yeah, and honestly, too, why I love this is because I love Snyder's just visual flair with everything. Mm-hmm. That suit was it was very, very much like Schumacher's, where it was like a bodysuit, like almost like spandex, but you look at it, there's so much armor on that thing, and his bat symbols, like the Dark Knight Returns, where you see scratches, but like dents in it, like it's taken a beating. And, he's like, well, Batman can't break into Lex Luthor's. Like, well, Batman doesn't have to. Bruce Wayne can. And he looks at that suit with such, like, man, I'm going out without my, like, he has to put on a mask. Yeah, like, he's like, this doesn't feel right doing this. But that was really, like, Snyder really embodied that Batman for me, where he doesn't want to give up the mask. He is Batman. He's not Bruce Wayne. That's the facade. And it took me a little bit to get around to it, but his Batmobile is easily my favorite one, where I thought, like, I remember thinking about when it came out, like, what the hell is this, a spaceship? Like, what am I looking at here? But then seeing it in action and a little more thought of it after, like Snyder's influence on the design and, Tatopoulos, I forgot his first name, but that designer, I was like, man.
Patrick Tatopoulos.
Pat Tatopoulos, yeah. I was like, man, they put so much work into it. That's awesome. And then Superman just standing right there ruins the whole goddamn thing in one instant. I was so just like, no, the car. You fucked up the car. Oh man. So that was a great interpretation of Batman. His Bat Pod was great too, with the spinning miniguns on it to really take out those trucks. That was really interesting.
Oh yeah, his flying. They just call it the Bat, right?
I think so. I forgot, but either way, that was a really cool interpretation of that plane, and his fight scene at the end at the warehouse.
The warehouse scene,
just perfection. That is Batman right there. Especially when Alfred's like, oh, there's 24 hostiles on the third floor. I'm just going to drop you off on the second. And he fucks those dudes up beautifully. Just, that's where you see the brutality, but also like a Batman that's, okay, this is the last time I'm doing this. After this, I'm done. No more.
Yeah, and especially just the choreography of that and the filming of that. Like, it was everything that we didn't get in the previous movies. It's just like the precision, like that brute force precision that we see him weaving from one person to the next one, like almost like a live action Arkham fight scene. It was all so cool, and like just seeing like the movability and the flexibility of that suit was so awesome to see. And I liked all of his looks in the Snyder movies. His traditional bat suit, and then the armored up suit that he uses to fight Superman, and then that nightmare look, with the trench coat and stuff.
The nightmare look. I have so much more of appreciation of the Nightmare verse, like after the fact, just because it's such a dark twist on it, and I like that the comics now are reflecting that a little more, like with the Last Night, like the Last Night on Earth, the White Knight, and then just Thomas Wayne's Batman and like Flashpoint and other stuff. It's great to see that alternate look for Batman where he's just completely lost humanity fighting for a shred of Earth. So the Nightmareverse was great. And then when we see him in Zack Snyder's Justice League, that's more of the Batman we expected, where he's doing this for the greater good, brings the team together, especially that line of just, I don't care how many demons he's fought and how many hells. He's never fought us, like, not us united.
Yeah.
And because Batman's always been of an aloof, but when he does help form the Justice League, he knows what it's for, and he really does rally behind him. So I like that he brought that interpretation out. And that was just a much more capable Batman than in the Joss Whedon, the Justice League. Oh, God, that was horrible. Still cringeworthy, but...
This one he has in Zack Snyder's Justice League, we get to see the further progression of where he ended up at the end of Batman vs Superman, where he has a renewed sense of duty and like vigilance, and like now he has hope again. Like he thinks, I gotta bring all these fantastic beings together to defend the world. And that line, it just like signifies like the whole journey of his character. Where before he was saying, if there's a 1% chance that he's our enemy, we gotta destroy him. Going from that to like, we have the ability to save the world. I don't care what sort of enemy we have to face. If they've never fought us united, like us united, I'd put us against anything. And it's like, oh, okay, that's such a great like progression for that character.
It's like, damn it, Bruce, this is what you need to be again, man. And that's exactly what Superman did to him. He brought back his humanity. And as much as people make fun of the whole Martha scene, that was like the biggest wake up call for him. It was like, this guy has a mom. Again,
like, you're gonna murder this dude in cold blood, dude.
Like essentially, he's almost, and then he's like, you're letting him kill Martha. All that blame and guilt from his parents dying just came back to him. Like why are you reminding me of this? Like, I don't want to feel that way anymore. But she's like, it's his mother's name. Like. And he's like, I don't want him to lose his mom. So that was such a great scene for BVS, and then Justice League
because he had been dehumanizing him up until that point, and then now he has to see him as like, this is a person, and I'm gonna murder him like in cold blood. It's like, dude, you've been off the path for a while, and that's where he realizes it.
Yeah, exactly. Ben Affleck, like I said, he just embodied that. He was the best of both. Where Keaton, great Batman, not a great Bruce Wayne. Chris Bale, great Bruce Wayne, not the best Batman. But Ben Affleck just did it both for me, man. And I'm really hoping Pattinson can do that too. So far from what I've seen, I'm glad that he's kind of matured as an actor. It was actually, I was talking about it with somebody the other day where it's funny how Kristen Stewart and him, they had a rocky relationship throughout Twilight, like, because, she had the affair and stuff, and they were just, like, the biggest stars in the world at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But now they've really found themselves as actors. Like, Kristen Stewart could be up for an Oscar this year because of her movie
Spencer.
Yeah. And, Pattinson, he's just... I saw him in Tenet, and I'm going to see him in this. Like, dude, he's gotten a lot better. Like, I like this guy. Like, he's a good actor. Not that he was ever horrible, but just Twilight. Like, I can't do it, dude.
Yeah, and I mean that goes to show that it was those particular productions that weren't that great, and even towards the end there, like, he was very vocal about how that was all just like a paycheck to him, and we've seen since then he's been taking on a lot of very interesting roles. I don't know how many have you seen? Probably just Tenet, right?
Mostly just Tenet. I wanted to see the one with
Defoe with the Lighthouse.
Not the Lighthouse. I still kind of want to watch it. I don't know. It looks a little weird to me, but I got to give it I just got to suck it up and try it. No, there was that really one. I think High Life, where he's in space with I forgot that actor's name, but she's awesome.
The French actress, right? I forget her name.
I think she's French. Yeah, it's funny because she was in Godzilla. She was in Dan in Real Life and in Ghost in the Shell, but it's fine. And I know he was in that one other one with like the prosthetics. What's that one called? You said that one was really good.
With the prosthetics?
It looked like he had a prosthetic. I forgot, but it was like a criminal or something. Like, I forgot what it was. It came out. Damn it, I don't remember. But that one he got a lot of praise for too. So I wish I remember that name. I apologize, guys, but so I'm glad. And again, Kristen Stewart has come long. They both have come long ways. So at first I was a little hesitant because I'm like, it's just more Pattinson's physique. Like, I'm like, he can be in shape, but just for Batman, it's like, that's, especially after Ben Affleck set the physical standard, in my opinion, being in like a little over 50, but still getting in that shape is impossible. So
it was much more like of a tank. It was very much more of that Dark Knight Returns Batman. Yeah, and this exactly. One, Pattinson looks more like the mainline Batmans. Like I know, like, people like have shown that, like, they taking the stats of the Batman wikis, and he lines up pretty well, being like 6'2" as the character should be in the comic.
In this comic, he is this weight and this build.
I know, like, that's what it is,
okay,
basically.
Dude, relax. Like, chill. Relax. But honestly, like, from what I've seen in the trailers, especially when we saw it at DC Fandom, that was enough to give me so much hope. Like, you know what? That is a new Batman, and I'm fucking excited. Especially where you just see that guy's like, who the hell are you supposed to be? And he just ruthlessly beats up that gang member and continues to beat him down when he's down. And he's just like, I'm vengeance. Like, oh shit. He's serious. So I can't fucking wait, dude. Especially when you see, like, bullets just getting shot at him, like, automatic, and he's just moving through it. It's like, yes, this is also Batman. Like, I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be smiling like an idiot the whole time.
Like, there's just so much, like, about this that gets me so excited for it. Just the fact that, Warren getting an origin story. This is year 2. This is a young Batman, but this is a Batman who's been in it for a couple years now at this point. So we don't have to go through the whole, origin story once again. I know, a lot of people that's kind of like tired at this point. We've had so many Batman as we've gone through, like all of them. But now at this point, I think we all kind of get the idea of we don't need to see the origin story now, and we can just jump right into it. And yeah, just the
I want to see it happen every time.
Let's just see Martha and Thomas Wayne just get gunned down again.
Yes, like, do more gangster style kill shot, just bam, bam. Oh my god, no, that's horrible. That's a horrible way to think, but
no, we don't want that. But yeah, the entire cast is fantastic. Like you said,
Zoe Kravitz, Colin Farrell. Oh my god, dude, it is another all-star cast. Like,
yeah, Paul Dano in Andy Serkis as his Alfred, and Jeffrey Wright as Gordon. Like, oh my god, like, what a great pick for Gordon. So, and then yeah, like, Matt Reeves, he's directed, two of the Planet of the Apes movies that were just absolutely fantastic. So, and then we got the cinematographer from, who's done Dune, and The Mandalorian, so Greg Fraser. And, from the trailers, the movie looks so gorgeous and dark and like gothic and just like everything you want Batman to be. So, yeah. And then the fact that they're talking about it like, this is a detective story first and foremost. And it's like we've been saying, that's something that hasn't been much of the focus of these previous Batman movies. So yeah, to get like a detective story with Batman, it's like against the Riddler out of all people, Paul Dano as Riddler. Like, dude, it's gonna be sick.
Such a different take because we had Jim Carrey's Riddler, and Riddler's always kind of seemed as like he's basically like a giant nerd in the comics, especially in the Arkham games where he's just like a little more lively, but again, the Riddler, like he just has everything's in riddles, and he's always playing a game with Batman. This one's like almost like 7.
Yeah, like a Zodiac killer.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this plays out. And then Colin Farrell's Penguin just unrecognizable, and that's what makes it great. Just especially just like, take it easy, sweetheart. Like it's like that's Colin Farrell. Does anyone know this? Like.
It looks like Richard Kind, but it's Colin Farrell.
And Zoe Kravitz is like very year one influence is this story, and that's why I've had to explain to people. It's like, okay, guys, listen, this Batman is like the year one story where he's starting out as Batman. He's very brutal, very emotional. He's not quite the experienced person we're looking for yet. That he's there, but again, physically, mentally, just. You see it in Pattinson's eyes. There's so much rage in this movie that, oh man, I can't wait to see him unleash it on like just criminals and stuff, and especially that Batmobile too, man. It's such a practical design, but it's so horrifying. Just it's a armored muscle car essentially.
Yeah,
it just gives me goosebumps. It seems
like they're going to frame it a little bit more, like they're going to frame it a little bit more like how Zack Snyder did, where this Batman, like looking at Batman for what it is, it's like it's a little bit more problematic, where maybe the Nolan movies kind of like glamorized it a little bit or made it like more superhero-y and okay. This one seems like it's like no, like this dude's got issues, and like this whole Batman thing, yeah, he might say like it's for like to protect people, but really it's almost an excuse as like an outlet for his rage almost,
Mm-hmm.
like
and
this
that's
dude's
why
got
I think
anger.
Yeah, that's why I think I love Affleck's, and I think I'll love Pattinson's, is that they're just looking for an excuse to go out in the night. So, oh man, I can't wait. Favorite Batman of all time, the best one, Ben Affleck. That's where we cut it. Cut!
He's the best, no comment.
Just cuts to black. Oh, well, that's one way to end it.
But no, I mean, I think, all of the guys, did the absolute best they could for the material they had. Like Clooney gets a bad rap, but hey, that was the movie he was told to do. Val Kilmer, he did a pretty good job, for his movie. And Keaton did a good job for his too. So it's like all these guys, I don't think we've had like a terrible Batman, We've had a terrible Batman movie. But, maybe given better material, Clooney could have done a little better, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because Clooney's a great actor. His cowl, they could have designed him a little bit better, but that, again, what can you do? But we're gonna get 3 Batman this year: Pattinson, Affleck, and Keaton.
Yep.
Because Affleck and Keaton are coming back for
The Flash.
The Flash, and Keaton's staying around for Batgirl on HBO. So hopefully everything DC is great, because Batman is literally one of the best characters of all time. Has some of the best stories of all time. Especially, guys, if you kind of want to maybe check out a good Batman story, I would recommend either Last Night on Earth, which is what I read, Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, and let me see, what's another good one? I would just say Injustice, too. The Injustice story with that Batman. It's a different world for Superman, but this Batman stays true to itself, so that's my recommendation.
Yeah, and I'll throw in Frank Miller's, Year One. I really like that one. Jeff Johns' Earth One Batman movies are really Batman I think that's been one of the best like modern takes of Batman. So yeah, if people want to go read some Batman, those are all really good recommendations. Yes, Last Night on Earth is awesome. That's also Scott Snyder, but don't read that until after you read his New 52 stuff, because that that takes place after. See, I'm getting so angry.
Just read it first.
I'm hitting my mic. I'm vengeance.
Just Ryan, stop talking. You pop out of the camera and just, oh my god. All right, but until next week, guys, we can't wait. Let us know what you guys think of the comics, or a comment. Oh my god, now I'm thinking of comics. In the comments, are you looking forward to Pattinson's Batman? Are you disappointed by who they got? Is there something maybe you're interested in, or who's your favorite Batman? Comic, movie, book, whatever works for you. Let us know. Until then, stay bodacious. Keep on
absolutely,
ranting,
everybody. Like Rice say, be good, be safe. You know,
Batman.
leave the comments and all that stuff. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and definitely tune in for our next one, guys. We're very excited to be talking the Batman next time around. So we will see y'all then, everybody.